This is Clarence Hill and Charean Williams coming to you from what the Cowboys thought was a dream comeback by Tony Romo that has turned into another edition, the continuation of what has been a season-long nightmare. The Cowboys got mollywopped by the Panthers tonight, but more importantly, they lost Tony Romo.
They can't catch a break, no pun intended, but it looks like Tony Romo's probably done for the season. Matt Castle will be their quarterback the rest of the way. In the bigger picture, their season's probably over. If the Giants lose on Sunday, they still got a weird thing where they're still only a couple games back. But does anybody really think this team's a playoff team? I don't think any of us think that. They're beyond that, and this season's lost. And at this point, I think you're starting to think about draft picks and London trips and next season and what maybe they can do next season. But they've got to get Tony Romo healed.
Well, maybe it was too much to ask in the first place. They lose 7 games and all this pressure that Tony Romo's going to come back, be the hero, be the savior, be the MVP, as Jerry Jones said, and lead this team to some type of miraculous finish that would salvage their season. Too much pressure was on him. Certainly, he wasn't the guy that he was last year. He was never going to be that guy after missing 7 straight games. Tonight, he made bad decisions. He made bad reads. 3 interceptions in the first half. 2 returns for touchdown, 2 picks. That was the difference in the game. At the end of the game, it went from insult to injury when Romo went down with another fractured collarbone, and it was the same type of hit that happened in the Philadelphia Eagles game. The thing about it is once you fracture your collarbone, you're susceptible for it to happen again. It happened in 2010. It happened twice this year. What is Romo's future? I mean, this is going to be an issue going forward. Every time he gets hit, every time it takes a hard hit on the left shoulder, it could happen again.
No question. There were 3 similar hits, blitzing linebackers right up the middle, and they land all 234, 35 pounds right on the top of him as he hits the ground. So all similar hits, all unfortunate for Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys that this season's probably over. But you're right, he wasn't playing well before that. His second lowest passer rating in his career, and we saw it for the 2nd straight year. He just can't come back in that short span of time that he has between the Sunday game and the Thanksgiving game. We saw it last year in that Philadelphia loss, 33-10. He was terrible in that game, had 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, a low passer rating. Comes back this year, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, and now probably lost to the season.
Last year was about injury and trying to overcome that back on a short week's rest. This year it was about rust. It was about him making poor reads, and it was about an awesome Carolina football team, Carolina defense. They were 10-0 coming into the game for a reason. They're 11-0. They have one of the best defenses in the league. Luke Kuechly, their linebacker extraordinary. I talked to Sean Lee after the game. He said he has the potential to be one of the greatest linebackers ever. He compared him to Ray Lewis. That's how good he was. Certainly he had 2 picks against Romo. That team was awesome. That defense was awesome. And again, that's a defense, that's a team that decided we're going to move away from Greg Hardy because we don't need him. They're better without Greg Hardy. The Cowboys signed Greg Hardy to be a difference on that defense. He has not been that difference maker. He was not a difference maker today. 0 tackles, 0 sacks, no stats for Greg Hardy.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Carolina defense. Josh Norman shut down Des Bryant. He had 2 catches for 27 yards, but did nothing really in this game. Darren McFadden, it was the 9th worst rushing performance by the Dallas Cowboys in their entire history. Nothing went right for this offense against this Carolina Panthers defense that is so good. And so Cowboys will have a whole lot of decisions to face in this offseason. Talked about Greg Hardy. That'll be one of the decisions. Do you re-sign him? The other is, what do you do at a backup quarterback? Do you go out and draft a quarterback and try to start grooming him as Tony Romo's replacement coming up?
Well, the season's not over. They got a few more games left. They got the month of December left. But we're already talking the NFL draft, the 2016 NFL draft for the Cowboys. And the big question now, do they draft a quarterback with that first-round pick, which could, at this point, be number 1 overall? They went from trying to compete for a Super Bowl to potentially competing for the first overall pick in the 2016 draft.
Sure did. And next week, it's going to be a long season the rest of the way, but next week they got the Washington Redskins on Monday night. We'll see you in the middle of next week.